Welcome everyone to the Stronger Than Steel podcast, episode 4. I got the king of the under 125s, Kurt, in the building. How you doing, sir?
I'm very good, thanks, and yourself, man. Just fucking
Good,
hungry,
man.
but yeah. And by the way, not 125s anymore.
Oh, you're dropping down.
No. I picked up.
Oh yeah. Actually, I neither remember. You were a little heavier than Leroy. I remember that now.
That's just a nice way of saying I'm fat.
How are you feeling? How you feeling in a larger body?
Like I don't know. Personally, I feel like I'm filling out better because I mean I'm not exactly a short guy.
Yeah, true.
The only thing is like in prep for Elite Raw, when like the plan was to get as sort of heavy as possible without being uncomfortable. I did it right for a bit, and then I was like, well, fuck, I'm bulking. Let me just eat whatever. Again, not purely. Let's just say, not purely. I didn't like breakfast, lunch, and dinner wasn't like steers or pizzas or whatever, but I ate a lot of shit. Like you could see with like the water retention at the comp, and I think even up until now, I haven't fully gotten out of that habit.
Takes a while.
Yeah,
Takes a long while.
What's that?
I think it takes a while to get out that habit. Like mine took years.
But yeah, I mean, feeling good. I think with the heavier weight, I think it especially has a positive effect on my squat. So I don't, and actually my bench, which has never been like a good, a strong point of mine. But I've noticed sort of like a steady incline in the weights and the way that they move.
How do you feel? How do you feel in deadlift though? Because I find the heavier I get, the more uncomfortable deadlifts become.
That was that was one of the issues at Elite Raw. Well, obviously for my last couple of warm ups, I threw on the belt, and I was so bloated I couldn't even get into position. I couldn't even get into proper position. So yeah, it's not really conducive of lifting effectively with conventional, especially. But yeah, I mean, like I think over the past few weeks, I've thought to myself, I should start doing one of those strongman rolls, where they roll it forward and then like roll it into themselves. And isn't that for the chubbier guys?
That was literally when I was heavier, back when I weighed like in the 150 range. That was the only way I could actually get in position, because like, let me just give myself some space here, get in position, and then pull it towards me, and the whole it towards me springs you back up almost.
and I suppose at a heavier weight, you've got like a good counterbalance, like 150 in comparison to like your max, which is like 200, isn't it?
Is that a dig? Is that a dig? Oh, sir.
No, I mean, in all honesty, you've actually been performing better than me with deadlifts recently. I won't go into too much detail, but currently, yeah, I mean, the last couple of comps, you've banged out the deadlifts, especially.
I'm pretty much a one-trick pony. I'm like half okay at squats. I'm pretty good at bench, and then I just excel at deadlift. And overall, I'm like, he's not so bad.
Not bad.
That's my whole thing. That's my whole spiel. But I got really shitty hips, man. Like I was born with the shittiest hips ever, which is like busted my knees. I've had operations in each knee. So I have no hope for my squat ever being like world class. As long as I'm like kind of up there, I'll try and make up with everything else.
And which is weird because I mean, like your build, like I mean, you look more like a squatter type guy. Like I mean, I'm not in like a negative. I'm not taking a dig there at all. Where like on the contrary, I mean, you don't look like a deadlifter. You know what I'm saying? Just like your build and your height and bench. Like I'm not really worried about bench, but yeah, in comparison, the squats and you look like a squatter.
It's God was having fun when you put me together. He's like, you're gonna look like this. Honestly, like squatting for me, just the motion. Like whether it's an empty bar or it's 300, it just feels like shit. That motion doesn't feel natural to me.
100%. And I mean, that's how my deadlifts were feeling for a while. You know, honestly, like for like years, like I mean, like for in my head at least, like I thought like, oh shit, like I'm like this decent deadlifter, you know. And then like for all of a sudden for it to like change like that, I was like, shit, you know. Yeah, I'm sure you've had something like that as well, you know.
I find as soon as your leverages change even slightly, so I find like if I gain just a little bit of weight or lose just a little bit too much too quickly, and like now I have to lean slightly more forward or slightly more back to do the same movement, suddenly it goes from like feeling okay to feeling like absolute dog shit. Like I'm very sensitive to slight changes like that.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't help because I mean, obviously with with a lot of the guys in powerlifting, I mean, like throughout the year, our weight fluctuates quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like I mean, like a day before weigh-in, for example, as elite raw. I mean, the day before weigh-in, I was 135. Day of weigh-in, I was like 130.4 or something like that. Then, like shortly after, I was 126. Then back up to like 30 plus now at the moment again. So it's always like trying to adjust. You know, there's no like smooth sailing in powerlifting, I don't think.
I find it's a constant like because like you get like, you know, you work with a coach and you come up with a blueprint and blah blah blah, but like your body, your leverages, what the ideal weight for you is, you have to get there through a little bit of experimentation. So it's like okay, let me try being heavier and see what happens. Let me try being leaner and see what happens. So it's like constant little micro tweaks until eventually you figure out your body.
100%. And I think you actually. Sorry.
No, I was like, speaking of which, like I know you've recently started working with a new coach. Well, relatively recently. Like, how's that been going?
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, whenever you sort of don't have a coach, I'm not saying I didn't have a coach, but I'm saying like you think you know some things, and you think you like you've got your form down, or you've got this down, or you've got whatever aspect down to like a T. Then you get like this guy that just comes in and just like rips everything like apart, you know, and you're like, oh, well, I'm actually quite average.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, in all honesty, I've actually really enjoyed being coached by Tom Bro. I mean, he's an awesome coach. Yeah, I mean, he's really, I mean, you can see he's really like, especially pushed my squats up. I mean, my bench now recently is like really starting to climb where like I didn't think it would. And then yeah, some other changes with regard to myself and strength and powerlifting. So yeah, I mean, I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed being coached by him, and yeah, I think there's some good big plans in the future, and yeah, I think I'm happy that he's there sort of to help me along.
How about sick, man? So what does the 2023 competitive season look like for you roughly as you're sitting here now?
That's none of your business, but anyway. I mean, in all honesty, it's a bit touch and go at the moment. Obviously, like I'm sure you've seen that Sean is pregnant at the moment. So
congratulations! That's exciting news.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm super stoked. Yeah, see, I can't stop smiling now. Yeah, so I mean, it's a bit touch and go because a lot of comps sort of fall in and around sort of expected due dates or that sort of time. So yeah, it's pretty much probably going to be like a last minute thing. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it would be awesome to compete at Elite Raw again. That's obviously I see. I think the invites will go out shortly, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I mean that was a cool vibe, and I mean it was nice to compete against like some really strong guys. But yeah, I mean we'll see. I won't go too much into detail.
I know you do tend to keep stuff like that a little bit closer to the chest. I know you have that whole tradition of close to a comp. You don't even let anyone know what your training lifts are leading into it.
Yeah, no one must know. It must be like, like coming into the comp and then like, bam! Then like everyone's like, oh shit, okay, well that's what he's been doing,
Like, tell me, is that like a mental thing? Like, take a little bit of pressure off you, so you can just work on you and not worry about when everyone else is thinking. Is it for that wow factor on the day? Like, what's the rationale behind that?
Yeah, I think pretty much the things that you've mentioned. Obviously, like I actually don't like to be on social media too close to comps. Firstly, one from experience. Whenever there's a comp coming up, like in my explore feed or whatever, there's always seems to be these like really bad interview videos that pop up. So like then I'm like, oh shit, and then I get into my head, and then like I'm busy squatting like 100, and I'm like, okay, what if like my knee pops out the side, or like what if like I hyperextend this, and then I start getting into my head about that. Yeah, and then pretty much like, I don't know, it may sound a bit dumb, but I mean, it's sort of giving you like that competitive advantage where like people don't know what you're going to do. Like, I wouldn't say competitive advantage, maybe like a tactical advantage, where, no one knows your next move. And then, yeah, I mean, probably a bit of a wow factor as well. I mean, like, for instance, maybe like in Jan, I'm squatting like 360, and then next comp I come, no one knows that I've prepped up, and then next comp I'm doing like 410. Everyone's, wow, okay, that's really cool. Yeah, like I'm proud of my work. Proud of the work that I put in, and proud of the results.
Yeah, but and like I said, you've been one of the guys who's been in the game. Out of the newer batch of lifters, you're one of the veterans of that group who's been how long have you been competing now? Like, well, it's been 5-ish, 8-ish years, somewhere in that ballpark.
Yeah, so my first comp was in 2016 actually. It was the Tri-Nations where I competed at the small hall at the school, where the comps are normally held.
Yeah.
Yes, and I mean, like, I think I weighed like under 100 kgs, and like I think I maxed out on like 120 bench and like, like a 200 squat or something like that. It's like I've still got the certificate somewhere. It's like it's crazy. I'm like, who is this guy? But yeah, I mean that's pretty much like 6 years. Obviously, COVID was a fuck up. Like we would have all loved to have competed a bit more. But yeah, probably roughly 10 comps under my belt. Doesn't actually sound like a lot, but I don't like to compete too often. I love competing.
That's something I learned a little bit later in the game, because I did my first comp in like 2014. But the usual gym bro, you have no idea what the hell you're doing. And next thing you blink and you've actually wasted like 3-4 years. But like I did I competed in the IPF back in the day, and they have comps all the time, because you have the equipped lifting and you have the raw lifting. So there's like 2 different nationals a year. So there's 2 different qualifiers a year. So I was competing maybe 4 or 5 times a year.
Okay. And so on this note, sorry, before you carry on, I'm sorry to interrupt you. When you're competing IPF, were you natty?
For the vast majority of it. For the vast majority.
No reason why I'm asking. I'm just asking.
No. That's I can elaborate on that, but we won't. But yeah, for the vast majority of it, it was natty, which again slows down progress. But at the time, like for how old I was, perfectly fine to like start that way. But yeah, so I was competing like 4 or 5 times a year, and you find like as you get stronger, as you progress in the sport, and as like you get training years under you, like the body just hates peaking. That you can't actually peak that often. Like you'll get like 2 or 3 good meets out of that year, and the rest will be absolute dog crap because like your body just can't actually handle that pace.
I don't have the guts to compete like more than twice. Like after comp, like I'm so mentally fucked. Besides my body being physically, like I mean, even just after the comp earlier this year, like it took me like a few months just to like mentally recover. You know, and not just because of like what happened at the comp, it's just because of like all this prep, all this focus, and sort of like perhaps maybe a bit of pressure. So all of those sort of tied in, and then like it just took me a while to like sort of like, whoa, you know, clear my head.
Now I find for me like 3 is the golden spot. If I can get 3 well spaced out comps in the year, I'm gonna be happy because like I love competing, and also I find having a comp date in mind, even if I know that comp date's still 6 months out, just having a date planned, so it like helps keep me going throughout the time. Whereas if I don't have, if I feel like I'll do it when I feel like doing it, I find like I waste a little bit of time. My sessions aren't as like proactive. You know, it might be a little bit different now that I have a coach, but back when I was training myself, I found like I needed direction, you know?
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, I mean, like, I mean, kudos to you. I don't like. I mean, even even this year, like, one pretty much was the sweet spot for me. Obviously, like a lot of things happening towards the end of the year, and then like a lot of comps being like out of province as well. So it's a bit difficult to sort of plan like logistically, you know, with like, you know, like work and home life and you know, finance wise, you know, it's just all those sort of things you need to get right, especially when it comes to out of province comps.
Yeah. Especially when it's like, especially like when you get to a certain level, like yourself, like competing at elite raw, you're one of the elite lifters of the country. There's like a certain expectation of like, there's a certain minimum standard of performance you have to do on the day to like save face. So it's really hard to like get all those factors right and your performance on the day.
Yeah, no, exactly. But yeah, like I like what because I mean what I try to do is like, I mean I'm pretty sure everyone tries to do this. It's like, you know, every sort of comp you just going to go in with the mindset of just trying to like at least beat your old numbers, and then like you end up with like a, I don't know, like a 60, 70 kg like total PP, and you're like, oh shit, okay, wow, fantastic. So like, I don't know, like maybe like lowering the expectations for myself. That seems to work, you know.
Like the way this competitive season went down. It's like I gave a because it has been my mission for I don't know how long. Like since I became aware elite roll was a thing, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. The strongest lifters in the country. Like, yeah, I want to do that. Like that's what I want to do. That's the goal. And then I was like building towards it. Like end of 2019, just came up shy. I was like, okay, 2020 is the year. And then COVID and all that happened. So like that was a whole bust. Like this year, I was like, towards the end of last year, actually, I was like, okay, elite drawer, that's what I want to do. Like, what's the minimum qualification standard? Okay, that's what I'm doing. And like, it was like just as I was reaching towards it, like herniated a disc in my back. So I'm like, well, fuck me. Ironically, again, herniated while deadlifting. But it took me longer to get squats back as opposed to deadlifting. Deadlifting came back and within a couple months. Squatting took forever to come. Like squatting doesn't feel natural to me at the best of times. Not with my disc discombobulated. It was like dog cut. So the way we planned it out, long story short, is I had to qualify in April, or they hit the qualifying standard in April and hope there was space. 2 weeks later, I was at Elite Raw. And then 8 weeks later was Nationals.
No. So, I mean, you just took it from one extreme to the other. Because, like, we talking about, okay, cool, like, you know, sweet spot is like 1, 2, okay, maybe pushing it 3. But you decided to take comp 1, comp 2, comp 3, and just like mash it together. And you're like, oh fuck.
It was. I was planning a fourth. But after Nationals, I was like, listen, my body's done. Like my body's out the game. My body's done. But like, ideally, I wouldn't have wanted to do that. But the only way I could make Elite Raw was I had to do some kind of qualifier. And like the only one, based on the healing time of my back, the only one that made sense was that April one. So it was like a last ditch effort.
And so because like, so with regards to like your DATCOM that you're speaking of in April, like the numbers or the sort of final lifts that you did, were they sort of like you know, sometimes if you do take like a token lift or whatever, you'll just like hit like a lighter weight, or did you like go all out?
So now I had to. The plan was to go all out on squat and bench, and then just token my deadlift in, because I needed to add 12 kilos to my PB total in order to qualify. So I was like, that's not far reach. I could probably do that. So maxed out. I got PBs on squat and the bench, and then just took a token opener for deadlifts. And I was like, okay, I think I needed an 860 or something rather to qualify. I was like, okay, 860 on the dot. I'm not giving a cent more than that.
No change.
No change. And then like, but what fucked me now with Elite Raw being 2 weeks later, I couldn't even match my PBs on squat and bench because the body was like, nah, fuck you, guy. You maxed out 2 weeks ago. Like, we're done.
Yeah. We know.
It was only on dead, so I was able to push a little bit harder. But it was like, even then, it was like, took everything out of me to pull that deadlift out of my ass. And I was like, yeah, like, I'm calling it a day here.
At least you did.
But thanks for that third place finish. Like, thanks for helping that. I like making podium. although to be fair, there is no podium at the Elite Raw. You either win or you didn't.
Yeah, exactly. If you ain't first, you're last.
Which I dig that about it though. I dig how competitive South African powerlifting of late is getting. Like I remember the top 12 list. I think Michael Snook first compiled it like a couple years back, 2018, 2019. And it stayed the same for the longest freaking time. And now lately, like in a couple shuffles, specifically on the female side of things, there's a lot of shuffles in there. So I'm like, I love how competitive we're getting as a nation as of late.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because I mean, like, I've always sort of said, like, you know, we've got like some good, I'm talking about like top level, like, you know, top sort of tier lifters. Like, you know, we've got a few of them, like, you know, but like, I mean, in comparison to like sort of other countries, you know, they've got like such extreme depth when it comes to lifters. I mean, you went to an all-boys school. Like, if you think about like rugby teams and whatnot, like if you've got like a rugby school that's got like, I don't know, 8 sort of senior teams, and like they're all good, like good depth. And then, yeah, so I mean, I think what's nice is, and I think I called this about 2 years ago. I said within the next 2-3 years, there's going to be a few more big totals, you know, 1,000 kg totals. I mean, even like 1,000 kg podium, you know, quite a few more guys coming, maybe close to 950. Yeah, it's really nice to see, like, that we sort of trying to cement ourselves globally, you know, in the sort of global powerlifting. I wanted to say community.
I find, especially like with guys, and what I love is there's a lot of like guys coming out of the woodworks, like hasn't competed ever, shows up, and within a year they're already totaling in the mid to high sevens. I'm like, where the fuck did you come from? And they're young oaks in their early 20s, and I'm like, well, I feel like I've been wasting my time all this time, because here come these youngsters who are about to start out totaling me. Like, what the fuck am I doing? Like Colton coming out of the blue, taking that I think he's second spot, right? He is second under just behind Nicholas, right?
Yeah, so he's like second overall, like first 110, and then like overall best junior as well, something like that.
No, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And I feel like next year and the year after, the next 2 years, I think that's when we're going to get, because Nicholas has had the only 1,000 kilo total for quite some time now. I think over the next 2 years, that top 5 is probably going to be filled with 1,000 kilo totals.
Nick is getting a bit too comfortable up there,
After you get to the top, there's only one way to go left.
Yeah, and like, I mean, just to reiterate on like what you were saying, like, he also, like, Nick also just popped out of nowhere.
Yeah, he did actually.
If I'm not mistaken, he did like a strongman comp. Like that I heard of. Like, everyone was like, shit, this is like this crazy like young guy who just like rips like 300, and I was like, oh shit. And then then all of a sudden this guy came out, and then like it was totaled like 900, then like mid 900s, and then like 1,000. I was like, okay.
Dude, it's the rate of progression that I'm really in. Like someone being crap strong. I'm like, listen, mad respect. We've all had to work for it. But like going from like totaling 8 to then totaling 9 to then totaling 1,000 in the span of like nothing. That's the part I'm like, damn it, that's not fair. God has his favorites. In fact, same thing with Colton. Came out of the blue, and now he has like a 950, 955 total, somewhere in that ballpark.
Somewhere in that ballpark, if I'm not mistaken. So
I know he pulled the exhibition 400 at Iron Gladiators just now, which looked fucking easy.
That was like crazy, man. Like, I mean, even the way that shit moved. Like, I mean, like when I try sumo, like sort of heavy, like, I mean, it's nowhere near 400. Like, just like lifting off the floor, like my knees, like they just like cave. I'm like, it just it makes me wonder. I'm like how the hell? Like, kudos. I'm like, how does someone move that so easily as well?
I remember when I saw him at Nationals. I think Nationals was the first time I like warmed up next to him and was like properly watching him. And I'm like, empty bar or his max attempt, it moves the exact same way. Like the dude's like a hydraulic machine. Like his body just like locks into a groove and it's just there.
And like I'm not being like funny or anything, but like he's not like, you wouldn't look at him and be like, I mean, this guy probably squashed close to 400, or you know what I'm saying? It's not. I'm not saying he's like a small guy, but like like, I mean, you wouldn't look at him and be like, shit, you know, that guy's like, you know, moving some huge weights, unless you see like a video and then you're like, oh shit, that's fucking crazy, man.
Like Nicholas at least looks like Nicholas is jacked as fuck, so he looks like, okay, like, oh, who's the top guy here? That's him. I'm like, yeah, no, looks like it. Like Colton looks like he could still add 20 kilos to his frame before he maxes it out.
Yeah, like, I mean, like Colton looks like he could be like quite agile as well. Like maybe be good at like kickboxing, you know, just for example.
I'm willing to bet. I'm willing to bet cash. He's probably very decent at other sports. Like I'm willing to bet money. He's probably very decent at other sports.
Yeah, like he also strikes me as like that vibe where he's like quite a sporty guy. Like, you know, probably played like rugby and like excelled at rugby. You know, maybe, I don't know, cricket. He looks like he could be a cricketer as well. He just looks like a sporty guy. You know, maybe some water polo even. I don't know. Maybe. I'm just thinking of sports.
But talk about 1,000-kilo podiums. When are you? You're not going to tell me. I know you. But when are you actually planning on like cementing your mark? Because like your best total now is like in the 900.
So like, yeah, I'm at, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 900 kgs. So like, I'm sure you've seen, like, some of my last few comps have, like, not gone to plan, like, at all. So, like, I've sort of, like, my total sort of stagnated. And, like, I mean, the sort of comps where I could have had, like, a really good total, obviously it came down to deadlifts, and, like, I couldn't perform. So, yeah, I mean, basically, like, just to sort of give a bit of background, I mean, at Elite Raw, like, because I was having such a good comp, like, I was, like, my head was in the clouds, with, like, squats, like, 3 out of 3, bench, 3 out of 3, and, like, PBs on both, I was just, like, way too confident, and, going into deadlift, like, I sort of just, like a half-assed sort of, like, mentality, which was, like, probably the worst thing to have. Let me rather use the word complacent. So when I hear you. On that first attempt, like I didn't sort of, like, even think too much about the setup of the attempt. And I mean, you saw that attempt flew, and then, like, ripped my finger at the top. I mean, not how that bar ripped Nick's hand.
Oh, dude, that bar was rough. Actually, that bar was. I liked it, like, but it was rough.
Yeah, like, I mean, Nick's hands, and I mean his quad, like, ugh. Talking about injury videos before comp, So, like, I mean, if I just got my opener, like, I think I would have had, like, a 960 sort of total. So, yeah, I mean, that's always what's sort of at the back of my head. When I'm sort of training and, like, with my plans to compete in the future.
But I feel like that's a, for me, I would look at that as, like, a nice problem to have. It's like, the strength is there. You just need to, like, nail it on the day, and maybe have a little bit more of a conservative opener on deadlifts, like a token one, just to get on the board, secure it, and then move forward. Rather than your problem being like, no, even if things go perfectly, I'm not quite at that level yet. So it's like, having the strength and not quite nailing it on the day is a better problem than, like, no, I can't compete up there.
Yeah. So it's almost like banking it. Like, I know what I'm capable of, and I know what I will be capable of when the time comes. Like, the time. So I mean, like, yeah, I mean, it's just basically all I have to do is get there,
That's exciting. But tell me, how are you planning on balancing the new family dynamic with now you're about to be a dad? There's, like, supporting Shanna. It's like, what's the do you have a game plan in mind? Are you gonna go with the flow? Like, what's the idea there?
Yeah, pretty much go with the flow. Yeah, so I think the plan is to sort of prep up until a point, and then sort of keep it in sort of like a limbo state, and then sort of make my decisions from, like, because there's quite a huge concentration of comps. Obviously, from, I think, about March all the way up to, like, May being Elite Raw, the comps that I know of, So obviously the later the comp is, the more you can prep, and the better. But yeah, it's just trying to find that balance now of, baby coming, and obviously you don't know. I mean, the guy, he says, like, it's due this date. It's not going to be due that. It's not going to come that day. It's not like you can just plan your life and be like, okay, cool, we're going to go on a holiday just before, and then when we get back, it's just going to be like, okay, So yeah, I mean, it's sort of, like, stressing me out at the moment. Sort of thinking ahead to that. So yeah, I think, as you said, I think I'm just going to take it as it comes. But yeah, like, I mean, I don't think I'm not going to compete.
Yeah, just finding the right time, and the nice advantage of anyone starting the sport now is, like, actually they are bunch of different comps. A bunch of different options available. Like I think when I was planning, because I'm a hectic planner, so I've already planned what the ideal 2023 looks like in terms of which comps I'm doing. So when I was looking at all the data.
Which ones are there?
I'm going to say the first one. I'm aiming for Cape Town, which is March 4th. WPC comp there. I'll say the first one, and then we'll see how it goes. I'll keep the plans in here. I'll say them out loud when they look like they'll probably materialize. But there was a whole bunch of different options. Like every 2 to 4 weeks, there's another comp happening somewhere.
Yeah.
So it's a really nice time to be part of this. I think I'm gonna call it here now. I think we're about to enter the golden era of powerlifting in SA. Like I think this is when it's going to be like massive totals at every single comps frequently happening, the large surges of people joining the sport. Because like now, anecdotally, back in the day when I started, I'd be the only powerlifter in the gym. Like I'm that guy. They know me as that guy, and that's it. Whereas now, I'll see some kid who weighs like 50 kilos soaking wet. But like you'll see him set up for bench. I'm like, is that kid arching? Like, is that proper? He pausing on the like. There's powerlifters everywhere.
Like it's crazy. Like I mean, being at the gym now. Like I mean, obviously, like you know, doing like a heavy set. Like I mean, a guy comes up to you and like previously, like if you try to explain to somebody that I do powerlifting, you know, someone will automatically do like the weightlifting movement. They're like, it's that one. Where you go like that one where you like pose on stage. And I'm like, nah. So like, I mean, it's cool to see like the exposure that it's getting. Because I mean, like kids will come up to me like in the gym and say, "Oh, are you a powerlifter?" I'm like, "That's really cool, man. Yeah, thanks for noticing." You know.
No, it's sick. It's sick. I think in the next 2 to 5 years, I think this is when like something special is really going to come out of the country. I really think so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see it. I'm just happy to be a part of it. I'm just happy to be here, man. You know.
and you know, like I think part of the reason why is that now good coaches are a lot easier to come by as they were back in the day. Like I know you have a squad that you coach. Tip of my tongue, lethal strength. What's it called?
Lethal power.
Lethal power. That's the one. So how so like guys like yourself who are knowledgeable, guys like me, Lil, Ricardo. There's a whole bunch of really good coaches in the game right now.
I feel like in that regard, like I mean, it's people that have been doing it for a while. So I mean, besides your own actual like technical knowledge, like you've also got that experience that you can sort of pass on to like the next generation, if you want to call it that, of lifters.
100%. But so tell me, like, what as a coach, like, first of all, do you prefer the coaching aspects of things, or do you prefer being the athlete?
Actually enjoy. I really do enjoy them both. Like I wouldn't be able to say like sort of on the spot which one I prefer more. I think it's quite rewarding, like basically seeing like your guys sort of progress, whether it be like sort of strength wise or like you know or like a combination of strength and like form, you know, where they've sort of progressed over the months, and like it's sort of rewarding to know that you're sort of part of that. Obviously the guys put in the work, and you know they're the ones in the gym, you know, going to, you know, doing the work. But I mean, yeah, as I said, it's rewarding knowing that you are part of it and you're there to like sort of like guide it along.
So do you have any like what's your philosophy as a coach? Are you like everyone gets like precise individual attention? Do you like to start off on the blueprint? Like what's your approach when an athlete comes to you?
Yeah, so I mean, like obviously, like you know, it sort of starts with like a technical sort of analysis, and you know, sort of it's always good to get an idea of where to sort of work from. So I mean, like if for example, like you came to me, you know, like giving you like really heavy squat volume. I mean, without sort of like knowing sort of where you are and like how you handle different things. I mean, it's not going to be conducive with progress.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you maybe get like once in a while, maybe like a freak that just like sort of adapts to any sort of training you throw at them. But I think it's good to sort of get that foundation, and then sort of build up.
100%. I find I find I prefer training newbies over seasoned pros. I find the seasoned pros, they way too. I find it's too much effort re-coaching someone after they've picked up a ton of shit bad habits.
100%. Like, I mean, like, I probably wouldn't call them like bad habits, like for myself. But I mean, like, obviously, like for a while, like, I sort of trained myself, and then Dan took over my training for like short stints, and then like Lo, and then like Tom, and then so I mean, like, obviously along the way, you sort of like, like, I mean, you pick up habits here and there, and then I think a lot of people, or I was previously guilty of this, trying to look at someone like on Instagram, like, these big sort of like really strong like guys that you see on Instagram, then you sort of like see how they're doing it, and you sort of try like imitate it, and it just fucking doesn't work out, man.
It's the whole like the reason why this person is doing things this way is because they're built from position A to position B where they are now. You starting at position B isn't necessarily a good approach for you. Like there's so many like I find there's this one guy. I'm not coaching him. I'm like helping him out, and like he loves squatting. Like he'll squat like 3-4 times a week, like religious. But I'm like, I was telling him, like, listen, like, dude, like you don't even know how to squat yet. Like your squatting is piss poor, and you're damn near maxing out 4 times a week. And I'm like, oh no, but I saw this elite athlete do it. No. I was like, yeah, but like their technique is flawless. Like mechanically, this is doing a heavy single for them. Mechanically is much easier than you and your quarter squats and like you're caving in knees. Like you're beating the shit out of your body.
It's like the broccoli haircut high school kids that come into the gym with their gym templates that they download off some like random website, and then they'll tell you about that program the 1 week. 2 weeks later they're on a different program, and then like next week they're on it's a whole vicious cycle.
It's actually ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous. Yeah. It's the one disadvantage of having a lot of new people coming into the sport.
100%. I mean, like, I mean, there's like a lot of the times like at gym where I sort of have to like look the other way, because not because like I'm like, okay, that guy's like squatting really shit. I'm just like, I don't want to see this injury going down.
What gets me though? I have never seen any of these oaks injure themselves.
That's actually true, but I don't want to fucking risk it because
they'll cat back a deadlift. Next week they're doing it again. And I'm like, I freaking like moved a centimeter too far and herniated a disc in my back. Like, what the fuck?
But so like, I mean, on that regard, like as well, like, I've sort of like come to realize, like from experience, like before, like I'd sort of like maybe try like speak to the guy and be like, hey, like listen, maybe try this. I know it's maybe not the best thing, like unsolicited advice. Like I'd get upset probably if some random guy came to me in the gym and tried to do the same thing. But like seeing those like dog shitting backs, when like how a dog like arches like that when it shits. Like I just can't help but want to help. I can't help but want but help. But like I mean, I've sort of given up. Like you get the guy that sort of agrees and then carries on what he's doing, or you just get like a guy that gets upset. So I just look away now.
I find it's like out of every 10 people I'll talk to, like one will actually appreciate the advice and take it forward. But like it's way too many rejections for my own like I can't handle trying to help and getting that. But Kurt, listen, thanks so much for your time, dude. It's been awesome talking to you. But before I let you go, is there anything you wanna shout out? You wanna plug? The floor is yours.
Like not really. Obviously, maybe just thanks to like sort of everyone like for the support. Like in my head, like if I'm sitting at home, like I'm like I don't think of myself as like this elite guy. Then like you go to comps and like guys come talk to you and like like they sort of tell you like how you've like inspired them in such and such way. And then it sort of like opens your eyes, like, okay, shit, like guys are no, sorry, my dog's barking in the background. Guys sort of like following my journey, which is like really cool. Like it's quite humbling to put it in one way. And then obviously Tom Bro with Zero Weakness for obviously the coaching support, and then Anton and Savage, one of my sponsors. Really cool. So it's a really cool like team around me,
And that's the way to do it, eh? Like too many people try to go do this whole powerlifting thing solo. Like you need a team around you, because powerlifting is a there's someone who put it a lot more eloquently than I can right now. But it's like an individual sport done with a massive support system. Like you can't do everything by yourself.
It's like a rapper, like if you think of like a rapper, like I mean they like on stage by themselves, but like if you see them like moving like wherever, like they're going to like I don't know the club or whatever, like they got like their boys with them,
Yeah.
That
need that
guys
entourage.
Like entourage, So same sort of like thing.
It's a good analogy. You need your hype crew. You need your hype crew wherever you go. You're on stage by yourself, but you need the hype crew.
Yeah, exactly.
But Kurt, listen, awesome chatting to you. Would love to have you back on the podcast sometime in the future. You are freaking awesome. You're an inspiration. And I am going to kick your ass one of these days, legitimately. Just give me a minute.
Well, just let me know when and where, and we can meet up, man. We can start showing hands.
We'll do
I don't know. Yeah. But thanks, man. Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it. Really cool to be on the podcast, and just hit me up whenever you want me back.
Oh yeah, we'll do. To everyone watching, thanks for tuning in. See you in the next one.